Briggs keeps Bears in hunt with 30 ball 50. Warwickshire took a patient approach to their innings on day one, keenly aware of their advantageous position and determined not to let it slip, up to 283 for 4, and it was all in their hands on day two. Bonus points could take them to the title, 2 more needed with the bat, but they were running out of time in which to get them. The day, though, started poorly for the hosts. Burgess out caught behind for 20, the score still 13 shy of 300. Hayne too wouldn't last long, his off stump out of the ground when Brooks produced a peach. Woke's stay was also brief, out for 10, flashing a catch to Lammonby off Overton. The battling Bresnan found the single they needed to reach 300, but they were still 50 runs from that key 4th point, with just 10 overs to get it. Their task was made harder when Bresnan chipped one straight back to Overton. Briggs, though, pushed the score on. He took the long handle to Davey, first sending him for 4, and then 6 off back-to-back deliveries. The target was now tantalisingly close. Norwell could do little to help, a big shot aimed at Overton, but he would only find Azhar Ali. Time was running out, but Briggs wasn't put off. He had 6 balls left to get his team to the mark, but only needed 3. Back-to-back 4s off Brooks had them on the cusp, and the all-important 4th bonus point was sealed in style. A flick off the pads for 6 took them to 350 off 109.3 overs. He wasn't done. 4 more off the over made it a really expensive one for Somerset, and a few overs later, a third 6 took Briggs to a lightning 50, scored off just 30 balls. Just how crucial would his innings prove to be? It would be an unbeaten half-century in the end, Overton quick to take the chance Miles handed back to him to wrap up the innings and finish with figures of 5 for 88. While his knock was only the 4th highest, Briggs' sensational effort meant that if the Bears claimed maximum bowling points against a fragile Somerset batting lineup and go on to win the game, they will be champions, regardless of what happens elsewhere. Green and Lammonby had a point to prove, Somerset's season petering out, so they decided they'd go down swinging. Norwell sent soaring for 6 in just the 2nd over. The approach took them to 34 off fewer than 6 overs, with boundaries off both opening bowlers, but the Bears were determined too, and Wokes struck before lunch. Green bowled, top of off wrapped by the England international, no more added before the break. The score 36 for 1. Ali and Lammonby returned to the middle with an optimistic outlook and found themselves putting together an important partnership. The score doubled under their watch, and Warwickshire held off in the overs before the break. Ali punished Wokes, 6 runs stolen off his short ball, Somerset finding some form, and the boundary with increasing regularity. Lammonby came dancing down to Briggs, pumped him back over his head for 4, and with that, they put on 50 for the 2nd wicket. He wasn't done, a single off the same bowler a few overs later, and Lammonby was up to 50 for just the 3rd time this season. This one had come from 77 deliveries. There was time for him to guide Somerset to 3 figures, a welcome relief after some difficult innings recently, but he'd soon reached the end of the road. The shot was hammered hard back to Briggs, but the spinner clung on well. Lammonby out for 59. Warwickshire had their first all-important bowling point when Abel fell caught behind off Norwell after a 28-run stand with Azhar Ali, and Somerset reached the break soon after. 3 down at tea, they were trailing by 228. Ali returned with renewed vigour. Early boundaries took his side towards 150 runs, and then up to the mark with 2 off Wokes. His batting came with the reward of a 50, reached with his 8th 4, nicely driven past Wokes after facing 118 balls. He would eventually fall for 60, out caught behind to Bresnan, Warwickshire having to be patient here with quite a way to go in the game. They didn't have too long to wait for another though. Goldsworthy caught trying to smash Briggs over the ropes. He could only find Wokes. Davis was well set, and now joined by Lewis Gregory. They refused to be beaten, the score up to 200 under their stewardship, and Warwickshire toiled as shadows lengthened across the Edgbaston surface. With a delicate shot for 4, Davis took them to a 50-run partnership of 98 balls. He was closing in on 50. He'd have to wait until tomorrow to try and pick that up. Somerset up to 239 for 5 at the close, now just 128 behind their hosts. The visitors will be delighted with their efforts, responding so well to such a difficult few weeks in all forms of cricket, but Warwickshire won't panic yet. They still have plenty of time to pick up the further 2 bowling points they need, and then turn their attention to trying to force a win.